Basement on Joy Road, the sampler in the crates. Cousin Lorenzo on the pass till the morning rotates. Dust on the records and the swing syncopates. Detroit in the low and where the floorboard vibrates. Basement on Joy Road, the sampler in the crates. Cousin Lorenzo on the pass till the morning rotates. Dust on the records and the swing syncopates. Detroit in the low and where the floorboard vibrates. Lorenzo had a basement that he turned into a lab. Egg crates on the ceiling and a beat up secondhand slab of a sampler that he saved for working 2 jobs at the cab company. Every dollar bought a pad or bought a tab of vinyl from the Salvation on the corner of West Grand. 50 cents a record, dug a milk crate with his hand. Frozen in the winter while he flipped through the implants. Soul and funk forgotten that the city used to band. Together on a Sunday, now we sat there in the dust. Lorenzo heard the magic in the groove the world had cussed. Then forgotten, took it home and gave the floorboard the adjust of a kick that hit so low that it could shatter all your trust. In the quiet room, he taught me how to listen to a song. Not the front of it, the back of it, the 2 bars they got wrong. On purpose, the imperfect human swing the way it limped along behind the beat. On purpose, that's the pocket, that's the throne. Basement on Joy Road, the sampler in the crates. Cousin Lorenzo on the pass till the morning rotates. Dust on the records and the swing that syncopates. Detroit in the low and where the floorboard vibrates. Basement on Joy Road, the sampler in the crates. Cousin Lorenzo on the pass till the morning rotates. Dust on the records and the swing that syncopates. Detroit in the low and where the floorboard vibrates. He never quantized nothing. Said the grid is for the scared. The swing is in the human, and the human ain't repaired by computers. Perfect timing is the dragon, the impaired. Half a millisecond late that makes the whole thing feel prepared. By hands and not a machine. He'd finger drum the kick a little behind the snare so the pocket would feel thick and drunk like the drummer had been up all night and sick. A perfect chasing feel, chasing groove that you could pick up in your chest, not your ear. He taught me that the head nods because the body recognizes something bred into us before the metronome, the heartbeat and the thread of the breath that ain't on time. That's the swing, that's the bread and butter of the basement. Every night we chop and stack. Lorenzo on the pads and me with notebooks on my back. Right into the loops, he made the dusty soulful track. Detroit in the foundation and the floorboard talking back. Brass stab alone, bass on when kick hard, vinyl snare too. Lorenzo does it pro now. Got a real room uptown, but he kept the basement sampler, won't put the old thing down. Says the magic's in the limit, in the dusty second and crown of a machine that couldn't do too much, so the field was renowned. He taught a generation in that basement on Joy Road. Half of Detroit's young producers carried out the dusty code. Listen to the back of the record, find a swing in the unload of the imperfect human moment. That's the gold in the load. I still chop the way he showed me, leave the time in a touch loose. Let the snare drag ahead so the body feels the truth. Between the grid and the heartbeat, that's the basement's only use. Detroit in the low end and the swing that won't reduce. Basement on Joy Road, the sampler in the crates. Cousin Lorenzo on the pads till the morning rotates. Dust on the records and the swing that syncopates. Detroit in the low and where the floorboard vibrates. Basement on Joy Road, the sampler in the crates. Cousin Lorenzo on the pads till the morning rotates. Dust on the records and the swing that syncopates. Detroit in the low and where the floorboard vibrates. Egg crates on the ceiling and the second-hand machine. Lorenzo taught the swing that no computer's ever seen. Detroit in the low and in the dust on the routine. Basement on Joy Road where the floorboard learned to lean.
Joel 41, the building's frozen spine. 12th floor window, watching 95, the cold combine. Rashad on the landing where the heat ain't worth a dime. Concrete keeps the secrets that the snow won't undermine. Still well 41, the building's frozen spine. 12th floor window watching 95, the cold combine. Rashad on the landing where the heat ain't worth a dime. Concrete keeps the secrets that the snow won't undermine.
December in the bridge and the boiler died again. Rashad slept in the coat with his little brother Glenn. 12th floor, no elevator, climbing stairwell to the den. Counting every flicker of the hallway light at 10. The window faced the courtyard, he could see the whole exchange. Who came and who left and which faces rearranged. By midnight to a stranger, the familiar getting strange. A watchman by necessity, the cold ain't out his range. He learned the building's rhythm like a clock without a face. First shift left at 5, you could time him by the pace of the boots against the salt and the breath against the space of the freezing on the air, leaving steam without a trace. Mama worked a home ed gig, came home past 11. Rashad held it down for Glenn, made a meal out of $7 in a hot plate, made a roof out of a heaven that the housing kept forgetting, so he kept the count uneven but fair. Every can in the cabinet a plan, stretched a little in the lesson to a man. Still well 41, the building's frozen spine. 12th floor window watching 95, the cold combine. Rashad on the landing where the heat ain't worth a dime. Concrete keeps the secrets that the snow won't undermine. Still well 41, the building's frozen spine. 12th floor window watching 95, a cold combine. Rashad on the landing where the heat ain't worth a dime. Concrete keeps the secrets that the snow won't undermine. The stairwell was the only place that nobody could claim. Neutral ground, no faction, just the echo of your name bouncing off the cinder block, the cold air, all the same. Whether you came up righteous or you climbed it for the game. Rashad would sit there writing on the back of envelopes lines about the winter and the thin and fragrant ropes that the whole floor was hanging from. The quiet, desperate hopes of a building full of mothers doing math without the scopes. A man named Mr. Eddie on the 9th had lost his sight, but he knew every footstep who was heavy, who was light. He'd call out from his doorway, said, Rashad, is that you right? Come sit and tell an old man what's it look like out tonight. And Rashad would describe it, the snow on Vernon's Lane, the courtyard and the streetlight and the slow entangling chain of a city in the freeze. Gave the blind man back the plane of a world he couldn't see, and it eased a little pain. Oh no, still well 41, the building's frozen spine. 12th floor window watching 95, a cool combine. Rashad on the landing where the heat ain't worth a dime. Concrete keeps the secrets that the snow won't undermine. Still well 41, the building's frozen spine. 12th floor window watching 95, a cool combine. Rashad on the landing where the heat ain't worth a dime. Concrete keeps the secrets that the snow won't undermine. Spring came and the boiler hummed and Glenn got a little taller. Rashad kept his envelopes every winter line, a caller for the man he grow into, the witness, not the brawler, the one who watched the building breathe and made the small things smaller. He moved out at 19, but he kept the 12th floor. I reads the room like a courtyard, sees the leaving and the why. Mr. Eddie passed the summer, but Rashad still described the sky to anybody lonely. Gives the blind man back the high. 41's been painted over, new locks on the door, but the spine of it still rises and the coastal finds the floor. And somewhere in the housing there's a kid keeping score on the back of an envelope, the way he did before. No. Still well 41, the building's frozen spine. 12th floor window watching 95, a cold combine. Rashad on the landing where the heat ain't worth a dime. Concrete keeps the secrets that the snow won't undermine. Still well 41, the building's frozen spine. 12th floor window watching 95, a cold combine. Rashad on the landing where the heat ain't worth a dime. Concrete keeps the secrets that the snow won't undermine. Still well 41, the building's frozen spine. 12th floor window watching 95, a cold combine. Rashad on the landing where the heat ain't worth a dime. Concrete keeps the secrets that the snow won't undermine. Still well 41, the building's frozen spine. 12th floor windows empty now, but the watch was never wrong. Rashad reads a quiet room like the stairwell read a song. Concrete kept the secrets and the cold kept him strong. 41 still rising, and the spine of it is long.
Up 7 Mile Road, plays ahead behind the click, that's the human code. Swing that makes you nod, that's the pocket, that's the loaded groove. The grid can't fake, every snare hand bestowed. Mama L on the drums up on 7 Mile Road, plays ahead behind the click, that's the human code. Swing that makes you nod, that's the pocket, that's the loaded groove. The grid can't fake, every snare hand bestowed.
Janelle learned the drums in the church off 7 Mile. Sunday morning service where the choir went a mile past the metronome on purpose, that's the gospel, that's the style. The deacon kept the kick drum just behind the snare a while. Pushed the whole room forward, made the body wanna move. The preacher caught the rhythm and the congregation's groove. Was a swing that no producer with the grid could ever prove or program. It was breathing, it was sweat, it was the soothe. Brown took it to the studio when the hip-hop came around. Engineers kept saying play it on the grid like to the sound of the click, and he'd refuse, said the grid is where you drown. The feel, the human drag that makes the body hold its ground. He record a take so loose that the machine would almost choke, but you played it back and nodded cause the pocket wasn't broke. It was alive, it was leaning, it was dusting, it was smoke. The kind of swing that lived behind a steady-handed yoke.
Nail on the drums up on 7 Mile Road. Lays the hair behind the click, that's the human code. Swing that makes you nod, that's the pocket, that's the loaded groove. The grid can't fake, every snare hand bestow. Nail on the drums up on 7 Mile Road. Lays the hair behind the click, that's the human code. Swing that makes you nod, that's the pocket, that's the loaded groove. The grid can't fake, every snare hand bestow.
The young producers found him, came to sample what he laid. Donnell would play your 4-bar loop and let the timing fade. Just enough off perfect that the chop they later made carried all the human drag, the feel that can't be weighed or measured by a meter. You can only feel it land a little late, a little drunk, a little out of the plan. Geometry of music, that's the swing, that's the man. Part of it, the breathing part, the part that's contraband. To a perfect time and world, he kept it sacred, kept it loose. Said the day you quantize me is the day you cut the goose. That lays the golden pocket, that's the feel, that's the use of a drummer over software. That's the human, that's the truce between the heart and the hand. He played till he was old, off 7 Mile in the church and in the studios. The gold of his slightly late snare and 1,000 records sold, and nobody could copy it, the swing that he controlled.
Nail on the drums up on 7 Mile Road. Plays the hair behind the click, that's the human code. Swing that makes you nod, that's the pocket, that's the loaded groove. The grid can't fake, every snare hand bestow. Nail on the drums up on 7 Mile Road. Plays the hair behind the click, that's the human code. Swing that makes you nod, that's the pocket, that's the loaded groove. The grid can't fake, every snare hand bestow.
Seymour Darnell, once for a beat I couldn't crack. The grid version sat the lifeless, had a hollow kind of lag. So I called him to the basement, said just play it, hit the track. He laughed and sat behind the kit and gave the snare his drag back. And the whole thing came alive, the floorboard started moving. The dusty swing he learned in church was suddenly improving. On the lifeless thing I built, the human feel the moving. All the code from the machine, the pocket into proving. Myself into the body, Donald smile, said you see. The grid'll give you perfect, but it'll never give you free. The swing is in the leaning, in the slightly late degree. Off 7 Mile in the church, in the dust, that's the key.
Nail on the drums up on 7 Mile Road. Plays the hair behind the click, that's the human code. Swing that makes you nod, that's the pocket, that's the loaded groove. The grid can't fake, every snare hand bestow. Nail on the drums up on 7 Mile Road. Plays the hair behind the click, that's the human code. Swing that makes you nod, that's the pocket, that's the loaded groove. The grid can't fake, every snare hand bestow.
7 Mile church where the deacon dragged the snare. Manel kept the swing that the grid could never share. A hair behind the click and the pocket hanging there. That's the human, that's the dust, that's the feel in the air.
You know the water with the world smoke without outside. For ringing out, I won't time for the liquors to wild. You know the water with the world smoke without outside. For ringing out, I won't time for the liquors to wild.
4 a.m. watch, Khalil at the glass. Candle on the sill and the dark won't pass. Power off on the block, only moonlight to ask for directions through the long and the nocturnal task. 4 a.m. watch, 4 a.m. watch, Khalil at the glass. Candle on the sill and the dark won't pass. Power off on the block, only moonlight to ask for directions through the long and the nocturnal. Blackout hit the avenue, the whole grid going quiet. August 96, the kind of heat that breeds a riot, but the block stayed steady. Color watched it from his diet. A black coffee in the silence kept his nerves on a tight diet. Candle in a coffee can with the torn shoelace. Shadows on the ceiling moving slow across the space. He could hear the city different with the hum off every face of the building. Had a footstep, every footstep had a place. His grandmother named Eunice in the back room couldn't sleep. 81 years old and the dark was running deep with the memories she carried at the daylight used to keep at bay. So Khalil sat and let her talk and didn't weep. She told about the South and the porch and the migration. The bus north in 52 and the cold of the new station called Queens, where the family planted roots without a vacation from the work and every dollar and investment, not a vacation. He wrote it all down later when the power came alive. A 4 a.m. confession that he fought to keep archiving. 4 a.m. watch, feel it at the glass. Candle on the sill and the dark won't pass. Power off on the block, only moonlight to ask for directions through the long and the nocturnal.
nocturnal task. 4 a.m. watch, 4 a.m. watch. Khalil at the glass, candle on the sill, and the dark won't pass. Power off on the block, only moonlight to ask for directions through the long and the nocturne. The night is something honest that the daylight likes to hide. You can't perform at 4 a.m. There's nowhere left to slide. The candle and the coffee and the long and even ride through the hours where the truth of who you are can't run and hide. Khalil thought about his father who had left when he was 3. A photograph, a first name, and a half a memory of a man who promised something that he never lived to be. The blackout brought it forward, all the dark made him see that the watching he'd been doing his whole life from the glass was a way to never get surprised, to never let it pass. And by again to leaving, so we kept the candles masked, lit against the kind of dark that took his father's class. Unis fell asleep at 5 and he covered up her feet. The power flickered back at 6, the fridge began to beat. His quiet hum, the block woke up, the bodega lit his meat counter, and the morning came and Khalil kept his seat. 4 a.m. watch, Khalil at the glass, candle on the sill and the dark won't pass. Power off on the block, only moonlight to ask for directions through the long and the nocturnal task. 4 a.m. watch, 4 a.m. watch, Khalil at the glass, candle on the sill and the dark won't pass. Power off on the block, only moonlight to ask for directions through the long and the nocturnal task.
You know the who the we go on from without outside, but we get at the wrong time for the naked stove down. You know the who the we go on from without outside, but we get at the wrong time for the naked stove down.
Money's past the 98 and Khalil kept him patched. The 4 a.m. became his hour, notebook and a scotch. Tape of all the stories that he wouldn't let the botch. The migration and the porch and the memory he'd watch. Over like the candle, like the block in the blackout. He learned that staying up wasn't fear, it was the route to the honest part of living that the daytime kept without a way to ever reach. So the night became the doubt that he turned into a knowing. Every 4 a.m. a vow to remember to keep watching, to hold the candle now for the family that planted and the man who showed him how a grandmother held the dark back, and he holds it for her now. 4 a.m. watch, killer at the glass, candle on the sill and the dark won't pass. Power off on the block, only moonlight to ask for directions through the long and the nocturnal task. 4 a.m. watch, 4 a.m. watch, Khalil at the glass, candle on the sill and the dark won't pass. Power off on the block, only moonlight to ask for directions through the long and the nocturnal task. Candle and a coffee can, a wick, a torn shoelace. You only stand the stories that the dark cannot erase. 4 a.m. still finds him with a notebook and a face. Turn toward the window, holding watch, holding place, 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 holding place.
Boulevard cold, the wind off the East River. Terrace in a thin cold, every block a little shiver. Della light the only gold the great sky ever deliver. Walking 20 winters, learn what makes a young man bigger. Boulevard cold, the wind off the East River. Terrace in a thin cold, every block a little shiver. Della light the only gold the great sky ever deliver. Walking 20 winters, learn what makes a young man bigger. Terrence walked to school down Vernon in the bitter. 8 blocks in the wind at the river made a hitter. Past the auto shop, the church, the lot they called the litter. Past Mr. Hans' bodega with the steam and the fritter. Smell of the egg sandwich that he couldn't always buy. $1.50 man a choice and the math was always dry. Some days the bus fell one and the sandwich said goodbye. He learned the cost of everything beneath that gray white sky. The cold taught him patience, taught him keep the body moving. The cold taught him reading faces, who was losing, who was proving. The avenue, a textbook with the lessons that kept improving on the ones the school forgot. The kind of knowing that's what proving into your bones. He kept his head down in the gust, counted manholes steaming, and he learned to read the rust on the gates. The man are closing on the trust and the mistrust. Vernon was the teacher and the cold was the adjustment that made him pay attention, made him present in the now. The freezing keeps you honest, it won't let your mind allow. Boulevard cold, the wind off the East River. Terrace in a thin cold, every block a little shiver. Della light the only gold the great sky ever deliver. Walking 20 winters, learn what makes a young man. Vernon Boulevard cold, the wind off the East River. Terrace in a thin cold, every block a little shiver. Della light the only gold the great sky ever deliver. Walking 20 winters, learn what makes a young man. Mr. Han behind the counter, watch the kid come through the freeze. Every morning, same time, hands jammed deep in the sleeves. 1 February, Tuesday, when the wind was on his knees. Hand slid an egg sandwich over, said today it's on the breeze. Terrence tried to pay him with the quarters that he had. Hand waved it off, said save it son, a cold day ain't so bad. With something hot inside you when he saw the kid was glad, but too proud to really show it, so he kept the moment clad in the steam and the silence and the radio's low drone. Terrence never forgot it, how a stranger small alone of a warm thing in the wind that made the 8 blocks of his
zone. Cold walk, feel like somebody knew that he was not alone. Years later, he come back with a real job and a coat that actually held the heat. And he bought a whole remote corner of the deli case. Leave a tip that hand with quotas too much. And Terrence smiling said, you taught me how to vote with my hands for who I be. Paid in egg and paid in steam. Vernon Boulevard Code was the course of no redeem.
Vernon Boulevard Code, the window off the East River. Terrence in a thin cold, every block a little shiver. Della like the only gold the gray sky ever deliver. Walking 20 winters, learn what makes a young man. Vernon Boulevard Code, the window off the East River. Terrence in a thin cold, every block a little shiver. Della like the only gold the gray sky ever deliver. Walking 20 winters, learn what makes a young man.
Man retired and the deli's got a new sign on the door. But Terrence walks his daughter down to Vernon like before. Points out where the steam came from, where he learned to keep the score of a winner that don't bargain and the kindness worth the more. He buys her the egg sandwich and he tells her not to rush it. The cold's the kind of teacher and you don't wanna just brush it off. You wanna feel the 8 blocks, wanna let the wind crush it. So pity out your chest and let the river current flush it. The boulevard still freezes and the east still cuts a path. But Terrence reads the cold now like an old familiar math. A problem he survived and the surviving was the path that cleaned us off excuses, left the honest aftermath.
Vernon Boulevard Code, the window off the East River. Terrence in a thin cold, every block a little shiver. Della like the only gold the gray sky ever deliver. Walking 20 winters, lower makes a young man. Vernon Boulevard Code, the window off the East River. Terrence in a thin cold, every block a little shiver. Della like the only gold the gray sky ever deliver. Walking 20 winters, lower makes a young man bigger. Sign on the deli, but the steam still finds the street. Terrence and his daughter and the egg sandwich heat. Vernon Boulevard Code was the lesson, hard and sweet. Walking 20 winters, learn what makes a man complete.
94 degrees, the year the temperature hit. 94 degrees, the year the temperature hit. 94 degrees, the year the temperature hit. 94 degrees, the year the temperature hit.
94 degrees, the year the temperature hit. The music in the street running parallel the grit of the golden era at its sharpest.
94 degrees,
94 degrees, the hardest the credential. Not the deal, not the visual, the exponential. Build up the catalog that proved the investment in the art, the manifestation of the decade of the notebooks. Landing in the rooms, the outlooks of the era, the outlook of the work, every hook. On the radio that year was the 5-year session made public. The atmosphere of the golden era is the accumulated, privately deployed and the dedicated release. I was 18 in 94, taking notes from every record store and every cipher and every conversation at the back of the auditorium. Patient because patience was the only option available. The adoption of the shortcut was invisible, yet the era of the built was the best because the built was the only route. 94 degrees, the proof is in the catalog of that year. Hard, specific, hot, clear.
94 degrees, the temperature hit. 94 degrees, the year the temperature hit. 94 degrees.
The summer of 94, the block ran hot. Everybody with a notebook and a plot to get to the stage, the session, the cipher, the connection. The knife edge of the opportunity was thin and the committed ran toward it. The den of the era is in the memory of anyone who was 18 and serious. The gun of the ambition was loaded with the years of the work. The fears were real. The talent pool was the deepest it had ever been. The steepest climb of any era. The calibration of the self against the generation was the daily education of the 94 summer. I was one of the floor of the aspirants. The few at the top were the few who never stopped when the floor got crowded.
94 degrees,
the louder summer of the crowd.
94 degrees. 94 degrees. 94 degrees. 94 degrees.
Later summer said hot. 30 years later, the summer still lives in the catalog, in the way to give of the era shaped every Boston.
94 degrees.
The evidence. The hardest year, the clearest standard.
94 degrees.
The evidence.
94 degrees.
94 degrees. 94 degrees.
Microphone check, 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 microphone check. Ever rhyme letter, microphone check. 1, 2. The craft is in the 1, 2. The syllable lands over a dozen, no undo. Microphone check, every bar deliberate, every word earned, nothing counterfeit. Microphone check. The microphone is the most honest instrument because the playback doesn't negotiate the laws of the tape or the laws of the actual. What you brought is what's on the factual. Recording no revision after the red light. The preparation is the right given by the work preceding in the booth. I claim the right by the truth of the years in the notebook. 10 years of the daily session, the gears of the craft running every morning before the rest of the day. The store of the built accumulates past the point of the talent alone. The joint venture of the talent and the daily work is the only MC who doesn't shirk the red light. I walk in prepared. The preparation is declared by every bar that lands on the first take. Microphone check, microphone check, microphone check. Every bar deliberate, every word earned, nothing counterfeit. Microphone check, every bar deliberate, every word earned, nothing counterfeit. Microphone syllable check. Is the unit, not the line, not the verse. The line is the architecture, the universe of the meaning. The syllable is the brick, the slick delivery that covers the weak syllable is the paint on a crack wall. A faint crack opens on the third listen. I build at the syllable, the glistening surface is the byproduct of the foundation, not the goal. The patient calibration of the syllable, the beat relationship is the hardest skill and the most grip when it's built right. The multisyllabic that stays in the pocket is not the acrobatic trick. It's the structural work of the years, the natural sound, and is the most built. Microphone check, grounding. Microphone check, microphone check, microphone check, microphone check. Every bar deliberate, every word earned, nothing counterfeit. Microphone check, every bar deliberate, every word earned, nothing counterfeit. Microphone check. The red light is on the tape, is running. The 10 years in the notebook are coming. Through the mic right now. Microphone check, every syllable built, every bar check. Microphone check, microphone check, microphone check, microphone check, microphone check, microphone check, microphone check. 10 years, 10 years, 10 years, 10 years on the first take. Microphone check, microphone check.
Yo, she ran the block, lock. She ran the block, she ran the block, ran the block. She ran the block, ran the block. She ran the block, she ran the block. She ran the block, she ran the block. She ran the block, she ran the block. She ran the block.
Yo,
she ran the block.
now with a title with the work. 20 years of knowing who needed what the clerk of the neighborhood's actual needs. She ran the block. Miss Patricia, the real clock. Everybody called her Miss Patricia. Even grown men old enough to be a brother to win. And the how of every block decision passed through her porch on Tillery Street. The crew of teenagers who needed summer jobs. She made the calls. The family that needed a hand. She paid attention before anyone asked. The landlord who tried to skip repairs. She stood at his door until he scheduled them. Nobody elected her to anything. The respect she got was the kind that's earned daily, decade after decade, through the actual doing of the work. Nobody else with the factual history of that block runs through her porch. More than any official record, the torch she carried wasn't symbolic, it was real labor.
Yo, she ran the block. 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 She ran the block.
She organized the building meeting after the fire. In 91, got everyone the higher level of attention from the city that the official channels weren't providing the artificial distance between residents and power. Closed when Miss Patricia spoke hour after hour at those meetings. She knew the names of every official. The true process to get things actually done. The men in suits learned to take her seriously when they realized she'd outlast them in the position. She held that block together through every transition for 31 years before she passed. Filled the church, the vast turnout was the actual measure of who she was.
She ran the block. 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 She ran the block.
They named community room after her last year. Miss Patricia Williams' room to clear. Recognition came after she was gone. She ran the block for 31 years. The song of that block still has her name in it. She ran the block, 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 she ran the block. Till every street, 31 years, the fire of 91. Her name on the room now, room now, room now. Her name on the room now. She ran the block, she ran the block, ran the block.
Yo, and what the fuck is attitude and MCs pay to play, pay to play, pay to play, pay to play.
Yo, they pay to play. That's the real game underneath the game. Everybody's got an angle, everybody's got a claim. On the percentage before you see a dime, pay to play, know the math every time. The studio time cost before the song exists. The engineer, the booth, the list of hidden fees that nobody mentions at the start. I learned the actual economics of the art the hard way, signing things I should have read twice. Year one I gave away publishing for the price of studio access. Year two I knew better. Read every line, question every letter of the agreement before my name went on it. The pay-to-play structure isn't a sonnet about struggle. It's the literal mechanism of who profits off the actual schism between the talent and the access to the room where the talent gets heard. I learned the grooming of the naive happens through the contracts first. Pay to play. Every favor in this business has a price tag attached, even when nobody says it. The drag of figuring out the real cost of the free studio time, the free feature, the free anything to rhyme. Scheme of the industry runs on obligation, disguised as generosity. My education, and this came from getting burned twice before I understood the actual price of accepting help without clarity up front. Now every offer gets the same blunt question: what's this actually cost me down the line? Not paranoid, informed, the fine print exists because someone profits from you not reading it. Pay to play, I read everything, every bit, every bit, every bit. Pay to play. Pay to play. Pay to play. 10 years in, I own my masters, own my publishing. They took refusing deals that look promising. On the surface, pay to play, know the cause. Before you sign to pay it later,